So this first video is going to talk about what an inverse function is in general and why we care about them. So let's start with the basics of what a function is again. Let's just remind ourselves what a function is. So a function is where we have a set of input values, we put them into this machine or into this function, and it spits out a bunch of output values, right? So let's look at an example here. So I know that if I take this function and I put a 7 into this function, I am going to get 7 plus 3, and it's going to spit out a 10. So that's great. That's very straightforward, a very simple function. But in real life, can you see that very often we know what our end game is. We know what the result that is, we might start with a practical application where I know I want to get a 10 out of this function, but I don't know what I need to put into the function in order to get that end result out. So you can think of practical applications like, let's say you guys are saving for college right now or saving to buy a car. You know how much money that car costs, and you know maybe what the interest rates are and all, but you need to know how much money you need to put into an account today in order to have that output by a certain date. So, these are very practical applications of it. So if we consider this example here, if I know that I want to get a 10 out, well, I know I'm going to take, so I have to do the opposite, right? I'm going to do 10 minus 3, which will give me 7. So this is the critical point right here, is that I'm doing the opposite or the inverse of it. And you've been doing this since elementary school. When you learn to do addition at first, then your teacher told you that the opposite of addition was subtraction. They were inverses of each other. He probably didn't use that terminology, but that is what they are. Addition is the inverse of subtraction, and division is the inverse of multiplication. So functions, even though they're going to be more complex than this, will have inverse functions. They will have opposite functions. It's basically the undoing of your output in order to get your input back out. Okay?